All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking real music in real time for real people, just like you right there, and me here. This is Decoy. Their album is called Without Warning, courtesy of Paris Music, old school, glam rock, hard rock, progressive rock, all those sorts of things rolled into one really cool looking album and album cover. You can always use it as a coaster. Look, Tom is a good guy, and his record label Paris, they have a lot of cool music. But check out Decoy, again, old school, glam rock, hard rock, however you want to categorize it. Speaking of old school, glam, or hard rock, the band Kix last night had something very unfortunate happen on stage. Their drummer, Jimmy Chalfant, collapsed on stage last night. According to Metal Sludge, Jimmy was unconscious and carried off stage after suffering a suspected heart attack during the band's concert on Friday night. The incident occurred at the first show of what was scheduled to be a two-night stand at the Tally Ho Theater in Leesburg, Virginia. One source involved with the event said that Jimmy was carried off and they were waiting on a final word from paramedics. Okay, so right now, nobody knows exactly what status Jimmy has. Is Jimmy still with us? So the source also confirmed that this happened right after the drum solo. They say it was crazy. The ambulance was there within 2 minutes. One person also said that no pulse. There was no pulse and lots of CPR. Amazing show tonight. I hope it wasn't his last. Well, I really wouldn't worry about if it was an amazing show. But yeah, I understand what they're saying there. Keep Jimmy in your thoughts. Another person finally said, keep Jimmy in your prayers. He said he collapsed just before the start of the last song. Lights came on, 911 was called, and the show was over. Prayers for Jimmy. Now, all right, so where am I going to go with this story? It's already not good. So Jimmy last year, back in 2021, a banner year for something that everybody was doing. I wonder what was happening in 2021 that people were doing. Anybody? So in 2021, back in September, Chalfant suffered a heart attack at his home and was rushed to the hospital. He had immediate surgery to insert 2 stents in his heart, and then another surgery the next day for another stent. In fact, the same website on October 7th of last year says that Jimmy was recovering from a heart attack. Not sure if they reported that on the date it happened, but the 3 articles I have here kind of allude to information that I think is important to the general theme of what I'm talking about here. So September 29th, he was rushed to the hospital. He had immediate surgery. They put 2 stents in, then another stent the next day. Good news, it says here, good news is he's feeling way better and has been discharged from the hospital and is doing well, resting at home. However, he may have a bit of a road in front of him for cardiac rehab to allow him to make a safe and full recovery. Okay, so hold that thought there. Now, you may already be asking, okay, so the guy had a heart attack. Why is he back playing drums a year later with this band? Really good question. Really, really good question. So here's a story related to Kix from September 9th of 2021, 20 days before Jimmy had his first heart attack. Veteran rockers Kix have canceled 2 shows due to a member of the band contracting the thing. That's what I call it here on this channel. If you haven't heard me talk about this in a while, last year I was using terms like the thing, the thing-demic, the other thing, and you'll see how I kind of tie this all together. The group has released the following statement. This was from September 9th, 2021. Kix is canceling the following live dates due to a band member's positive thing test, despite him already being thinged. In other words, he had gone to either CVS or Walgreens or Rite Aid, and he had done what he was supposed to do. By the way, this band has had a history of advocating that people do this. They were proponents that people needed to go and do this, and that people who attend their shows needed to go and do this. So they were right in line, right in lockstep with the CDC and good old Dr. Faucian. Okay, it's just so I'm going to continue because there are other things here that are alarming. So they say they're canceling shows here. They're canceling the following live dates. Okay, so they canceled dates September 10th, September 11th. Future shows beyond these two are not affected. We will be there. So they only canceled 2 shows. And their drummer then has a heart attack on the 29th. And rather than that being kind of like a message to the band, no, not a message to the band about what they're going to do in the future. With Jimmy's blessing, we would like to announce that Will Hunt will be taking over drum duties. So the show must go on. Just, hey, nothing to see here. Drummer had a heart attack. You know, somebody else in the band, or could it have been Jimmy who tested positive for the thing back on the 9th and then 20 days later has, you know, a heart attack? Could it be? All right, so piecing this all together, and some people will say, well, here we go again with your crazy conspiracies, right? I've noticed that there are 2 camps in the world right now. There are people with crusty scales on their eyes that can't be removed. And then there are people who are totally alert, awake, alive, wondering, curious, you know, whatever happened to intellectual curiosity? I don't know. Went out the window probably in the spring of 2020, just went gone. I don't want to know about any kind of alternative viewpoints. Now, here's what I'm going to say. Now, all of this could be one ginormous coincidence. Number one, why is he playing drums? Why did he go out and play drums after having 3 stents put in? I mean, my dad had all this stuff happen to him. Now, he was like in his 80s, but strenuous activity. I mean, the doctor told him, no way, you can't do anything that you used to do. You're going to have to take it easy. We want you to exercise, go walking, but, you know, probably no drum solos in the future, no chopping wood, no mowing the lawn, none of that stuff. That's not for you to do anymore. So this guy, a year later, is out there playing a drum solo with a very, shall we say, active and loud rock band. And so you got to be a pretty decent drummer. And by all accounts, this guy was a great drummer. But a heart attack and 3 stents later, I'm thinking, you know, Jimmy, might be time to change your lifestyle. Now, of course, the other glaring, you know, large elephant in the room is the fact that maybe something precipitated this. It didn't say anywhere that this guy had a history in his family of these sorts of heart issues. And just a mere coincidence that 20 days before the first heart attack, that this band member tested positive for the thing mysteriously, right? Just coincidentally. And these guys were advocating, yep, you should go out and do all what they're telling you to do because you know what? It's going to prevent you from getting it and passing it, and all of this stuff is going to prevent you. And the media has continued on. they've continued on. Now, they've done a couple of things. One is they don't talk about this stuff as much. And number two, certainly they would never question any of the narrative, and they wouldn't question about what happened. Here's a guy who was a very healthy, active drummer, and now he's not. And what's even more interesting is that, nobody's even saying maybe he shouldn't have been out there. Because if people were saying that, they would have told him to his face. They would have said, hey, Jimmy, I don't know if you should be playing drums anymore. Just saying, dude, you were great, but there comes a time in life where you've got to make choices, and this might be too big of a risk for him. So a year later, he collapses on stage, and this report makes it sound like nobody knows for sure if he's still alive anymore. Nobody knows for sure. Now, I'm hoping he's fine. He'll make a full recovery, and this has nothing to do with any of my conspiracies, right? But again, kind of weird, 20 days before, and then let's hope, right, that between the heart attack he had in September of 2021 and this incident, that he didn't go back to CBS, that somebody said, you know what, man, don't do this anymore. Don't do this anymore. What kind of world are we living in where you can't just make a common sense evaluation? You don't even have to be a doctor. Hey, coincidentally, I went to Rite Aid, and then a few days later, something happened. And so what? You're not supposed to tell anybody? You're supposed to ignore that? Now, I don't know if it took them 7 days to report the heart attack he had last year. That article is dated October 7th. And supposedly he had this issue on September 29th. Maybe he did. Maybe, or maybe they did. Maybe they reported this and I just haven't found that article yet. But it's almost like they're trying to wait it out and say, oh, we have to report this. It's not going to look good. Maybe if we wait a few days, people won't make that connection. But folks, it's getting if you look around the world, it's happening in sports, it's happening television personalities, politics, pretty much all walks of life this is affecting. There's video footage out there. There's going to be a documentary that's coming out pretty soon, which is going to document one after another in succession. It's going to be almost unwatchable because it's so sad to think this is happening. And it's also really sad to think that humanity has decided it's just going to look the other way. That's what this is all about. Oh, really? For instance, we're a website that does journalism, right? We report on stuff, whether it's music, sports, whatever, entertainment. But we're just going to look the other way. We're not going to do journalism. What we're going to do is kind of tell you a little bit about what happened, but we're not going to make any assumptions unless it's something that we disagree with, right? They don't like the orange guy, for instance. So if somebody does or says something positive about him, they will cut and paste all of the negative stuff about him underneath. Now, I'm not advocating for or against the orange guy. All I'm saying is that they'll do a little journalism when it comes to making their point or trying to keep their narrative, from collapsing on them. On this one, it's far more important than who the president of the United States is, because this will affect humanity for generations. And yet, hands off the wheel. It's not our problem. Or, we can just go along like nothing is happening, and everybody will just go along with us. And you know what's sad is a lot of people are. A lot of people are just going along. So our thoughts and prayers go out to Jimmy Chalfant. I don't know much about Jimmy Chalfant. I don't know if he's the original drummer in this band. He looks a bit older than me, which would be another reason maybe that he should have just retired and moved down here to Florida. We could have hung out together. I'm just being kind of facetious here, but he could have retired and enjoyed his life rather than going back out on the road with the one-hit wonders. You know, here's a true one-hit wonder band, by the way, Kicks. Don't close your eyes. That's a little bit ironic, right? So sad. It's just super sad. And hopefully none of this is related. And I'm just kind of going off on a crazy theory. So here's Decoy one more time without warning. And, you know, check it out if you have a chance. My name's Dave. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, Patreon, to help out the channel financially. And I will